Hello CoinOpTV viewers, this is James here with some Tekken 7 gameplay for you. This was recorded on a PC using an Xbox One controller, and the game is also out for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. As you probably know, Tekken 7 is the latest in a long line of highly rated fighting games which started all the way back in 1994 on the original PlayStation. The series has a strong following, and it's not hard to see why. Tekken 7, like its predecessors, is a well-balanced, highly technical fighter which rewards skilled play. You can certainly button mash your way through the campaign mode even on harder difficulties, but human opponents are a different matter. Unless you're fighting against me, in which case you're probably fine. One of the cool features of Tekken is its controls. Unlike most other fighters which tend to map attacks in a weak to strong setup, Tekken instead matches each face button on your controller to a limb. Right arm, right leg, and left leg, plus a couple of other combo moves that you can do using some of the other buttons. What makes this interesting is that you can actually learn combos from watching other people playing simply by seeing what move they are attacking with. At least once you're good enough to follow along anyway. And there are a lot of different combos to learn in this game, giving it a good amount of depth. There's a ton of different characters and all of them have their own sets of moves, so you could really dive into this game and find a character who's perfect for your playstyle. If you're here for the multiplayer, you will definitely get your money's worth out of this game. The single player, on the other hand, is completely lacking. The campaign mode took me less than 2 hours to complete, and if I had skipped the cutscenes, I'm sure it would have come in at well under an hour. The campaign is 14 chapters long, with the majority of each chapter being a sequence of cutscenes, punctuated by a single fight, occasionally two. Some chapters, on the other hand, don't have any fights at all. The cutscenes themselves also rotate between three different styles. You've got the fully animated CGI scenes, you've got kind of an animated motion comic, and then you have still image montages. Because of the abundance of cutscenes, you will also be well acquainted with many of the game's voice actors by the end of the short campaign, even if you wish you weren't. There are a few performances which aren't bad, but for the most part it probably would have been best if they had stuck with text. One thing that is cool though is that each character speaks in their own native language, which adds some variety, even if you can still tell who is phoning it in despite the language barrier in most cases. Now the good news here is that the story mode has optional side missions focusing on characters not featured in the main story that you can complete at your discretion, and they add to the game's length a little bit. Even with them though, you're coming in at under 4 hours of story content, including the cutscenes. Outside of story and multiplayer, there are a few other activities you can take part in. The main one of these is the offline mode Treasure Battle, which is the easiest way to accumulate customizations for your characters, which I'll talk about in a second. There is also an arcade mode, which is your traditional arcade ladder experience and adds a little bit more of story content when you complete the ladder, but again, this isn't particularly substantial and I would hesitate to even include it as part of the narrative of the game. Now, all of these modes, including the story and also the multiplayer mode, give you currency, and when you get the currency, you can customize your characters by purchasing props and clothing that they can wear, as well as things like hairstyles and whatnot. These customizations are purely cosmetic, but they do allow you to add personality to your characters. They can be used in any mode except for story, and it does help to liven up the atmosphere. There are a lot of customization options to choose from, so you can really go into depth with this. You can make somebody who looks really cool, or completely goofy, or something all the way in between. Doesn't really matter. That said, series veterans will find that Tekken 6 had more options available to it than this game does. However, this still has a lot more options than most of its contemporaries. At the end of the day, Tekken 7 is a fun, well-balanced fighting game that will have competitive gamers entertained for months, if not years. Gamers who are more into the single-player experience, however, will find their options here lacking. Overall, this is an excellent entry into the series, and longtime Tekken fans should be very happy with what they get here. Given that we haven't had a new Tekken game since 2011's Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I think that the wait, although quite long, was worth it. Thank you guys for watching, and if you found this video useful at all, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you back here on CoinOpTV with more video game footage in the near future.